Hey guys, it's Danny. Welcome to the first episode of Orchids in Bloom. Established 2015. Yes, I know we took a break. We renamed ourselves for a little while because I was going through some existential crises. But now we're back. Orchids in Bloom are back. And this month, January of 2024, we're gonna look back at the orchids that I really liked in December 2023. And I will tell you a little bit about them, short version, and the proper spotlight or more in-depth videos will be available for the members, as I mentioned in my previous video. Some of these orchids already have spotlights. But anyway, bottom line is I hope this video can introduce you to some orchids that maybe you didn't know existed, maybe they will even make it to your wish list. And before we start, don't forget to leave me a comment with your favorite orchid this month, because from time to time, we will put one of these orchids on a new mug. Speaking of which, don't forget to like this video if you end up enjoying it, and why not subscribe? It is completely free and I post every single week. But if you're feeling a little extra and you have the possibility, do consider further supporting my channel and what I do by becoming a member and getting access to exclusive videos such as spotlights and behind the scenes. Also, you can check out the merch. We have 4 beautiful mugs and more on the way this year using the Amazon and rePotme affiliate links that you can find in the description, or using the super thanks option below my videos. Right, so with that said, let's finally start, shall we? Let's start with an oldie but goldie. Fair warning, you're gonna see a lot of Cattleyas in this video. First off, the Caulocattleya Chantilly Lace Twinkle. We haven't seen this one in bloom for ages, and that's because the thrips kept eating the buds. But the spinosad treatment worked a charm, and now look at that, we have beautiful flowers. Now this is one of my most favorite Cattleyas because of the fragrance. To me it smells very similar to my all-time favorite, the No ID white Cattleya that we lovingly called Princess Jackie. And since that one is a no ID, and I dare not put an ID on that one because there are so many white Cattleyas that look similar, aka intermediate, which is not, that I don't want you guys to purchase that one and be disappointed that it doesn't have a fragrance. Well, I can tell you this one, if you purchase it, you can see what I'm raving about. It has a wonderful citrusy, floral, creamy, mouth-watering fragrance, dare I add. A little bit soapy, but in the very best way. And if fragrance is not your thing, just check out those blooms. I think it's one of the most beautiful Cattleyas I've ever seen. And I do believe that is in part due to the Caulocattleya, I think it's called, parent that it has, which I have in my collection, and it's producing buds as we speak, so it's gonna be really nice to see how the parent looks like. Anyway, Chantilly Lace Twinkle, a staple in my collection, and I do believe if you're a fan of fragrance and you like medium-sized Cattleyas better than tall ones, this is the one for you. Next up, we have Epicanthe Hsiang, you Gold Coast Fireworks. Yeah, some of these pronunciation you'll have to excuse me. I don't think I'm gonna get right. Okay, so this is a mini Cattleya, and we did make a video recently about 4 wonderful mini Cattleyas, which should be on your wish list if you like easy to care for mini Cattleyas. You'll have to excuse Joey this morning. She's in a singy mood, and it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Luckily, they're not loud, so my neighbors don't really hate me. Right, so this particular one is a cluster bloomer, and it's so easy to care for. It takes typical Cattleya care. You'll find a tutorial about Cattleyas in the description, by the way. Even more, I grow it strictly under artificial light, and it does wonderfully. It also blooms multiple times a year. It's not fragrant though, but it has a wonderful coloration, and it is a cluster bloomer. The flowers are kinda tiny, but the orchid herself is kinda tiny, reaching about 20 centimeters in height or so. Anyway, if you wanna learn more about it or you wanna see other mini Cattleyas, check the description. I will make sure to post the link towards the mini Cattleya video. Overall, this one is an easy recommend to anybody who likes mini Cattleyas or just doesn't have the space for Cattleyas or struggles with Cattleyas. This is such an easy grower, and I think you will really enjoy it. Next up, another mini Cattleya, which you will find in that video, Cattleya Cosmic Delite. This has the most gorgeous red color you've ever seen. Again, a tiny Cattleya, very easy to care for, not as easy as the other one to be fully honest, simply because it has Suvarnabhumi in its parentage, which means it can get a little bit finicky. I would not go ahead and divide this all the time, although it is a fast grower, and you will be tempted to, I would just not. But other than that, it should be fairly easy once it's established. Again, not a fragrant orchid, but look at that beautiful color. I know on camera it appears quite orange, well in reality it's a bit more complex than that. It has some magenta hues as well, and that beautiful splash of yellow is just amazing. I absolutely adore mini Cattleyas and especially Suvarnabhumi hybrids. In my warm climate, I don't do fantastic with Suvarnabhumi, but with these hybrids, which have more Cattleya heritage, I do seem to do just fine, and I get this beautiful color on them. Mind you, in the summer it will bloom more magenta, or actually in warm temperatures. In winter or low temperatures, it will bloom more red. Next up, another favorite on this channel, this is Rhyncattleanthe, Fushu Glory Happy Holiday. What a beauty she is. I have this one for a few years now, and every time I present it, you guys love it in the comment section, and I think we should eventually put this on a mug. Now, what's special about this Cattleya is the pinwheel pattern. Do you see the petals and sepals have a yellow streak in the middle? Yeah, that's not very common with orchids. I don't have many hybrids that do this. Also, the contrast between white and yellow, again, not very common. But mind you, this orchid is not rare. None of these orchids are, so just put them on the wish list and wait for them to appear in your local nurseries. But to get back to this orchid, it's also fragrant, but it has a very mild fragrance. I find it to be kind of typical Cattleya fragrance, floral, citrusy, something like that, but it's mild, or this year at least, it has been very, very mild. I would not purchase it for the fragrance, but rather for the beautiful flowers. You have to keep in mind, this is one of those big Cattleyas. It's tall, it's bifoliate, so it's not really all that tidy either, and what I usually do is tie the pseudobulbs together with some jute twine. I will make sure to make a video on it if you guys want me to, on how I keep my unruly Cattleyas a little bit more tidy. But yeah, this is one of those that requires a little bit of maintenance in this aspect and takes up a lot of space. It does not fit in my IKEA shelves. It's taller than 40 centimeters. That's, you know, more than a foot, maybe a foot and a half at this point. She is getting quite tall, but I think she is absolutely worth it. A spotlight will come on this one very, very soon in the members section. Are you bored of Cattleyas? Because I'm not. Here we have a first-time bloomer. This is Rhyncholaeliocattleya. Delite, Salmon Queen. I'm avoiding one of those words because I really do feel bad for butchering it eventually. Now this is what I mean when I say big, fluffy flowered Cattleyas. This is it. The flowers are huge. They're 10 centimeters or more in diameter, and they are so fluffy, so ruffled, and so gorgeous. They smell like a typical Cattleya, you know, that beautiful rosy, lily-like fragrance, and it's not mild, you guys, it's quite strong. This one will surely pose some difficulties for those of you who have scent sensitivities, but isn't she just amazing? Again, it's one of those big Cattleyas. It's not so unruly because it's a unifoliate, and you can see the jute twine at the bottom there. Again, I am keeping this one tidy by tying it to stakes and using jute twine. It's a process, but I think she's worth it. But yeah, she's a tall Cattleya, and you can see the flowers are just the most adorable orange color. They have some salmon, let's say, or coral hues to them as well, and that beautiful lip has a wonderful yellow-orange center. And yeah, overall this is the big fluffy Cattleya. And I really do adore this orchid. I have it for a few years now, and I've been patiently waiting for it to bloom. These are the hardest Cattleyas to rebloom in my opinion. They need a lot of light, and I have them in natural light. I filter direct sun through a sheer curtain, and this is how I grow them, but I am experimenting with grow lights as well. They just bloom once a year, they grow slow. It's not for the beginner Cattleya owner, to be fully honest, unless you don't mind waiting around. But yeah, it's one of those Cattleyas that takes a little bit of patience and a little bit of effort to make it bloom, and I don't recommend it to beginners sadly, but she really is glorious. Next up, I think you guys remember this one. This is the Bulbophyllum medusae. Now, Bulbophyllums are not the happiest in my environment, at least the ones that I have, but they do okay and they bloom from time to time. And the medusae is one of the most iconic Bulbophyllums there is, because just look at the flower. Now, it's not really correct to say the flower, but rather the inflorescence, because what you see there is a multitude of tiny little flowers, and all those little hairs are the petals and sepals of those tiny flowers. And overall, they make for such a beautiful cluster that looks pretty much like a cheerleader pom-pom. Now, this is the first time this orchid blooms for me. It is a tiny orchid. As you can see, it's also pretty young and it just started to grow more vigorously. These guys require a lot of water. They're not really the happiest in a dry environment, which is why mine are not, but they do okay if I make sure to water them in time. Mind you, the fragrance, or should I say the odor, is now wonderful on this one. It will not kick you out of the house like some Bulbophyllums, but it's not good. Yeah, it smells like swamp to me, or like some vegetation which is not good anymore. That lettuce that you had in your fridge and you forgot, and something stinks in the fridge and you don't know what it is. That's how this orchid smells. It's not strong though, the scent is not strong, and I think it's worth it for the flower show, but you know, sniff this orchid at your own risk. Next up, another Cattleya. This is Purple Cascade Fragrance Beauty, and this is one of those Cattleyas that I wanted for so many years because I saw it on a different channel, and when I finally got it, I was already having quite the established collection, so I wasn't very impressed with this one and with its fragrance. But this year, it has the most gorgeous fragrance ever. It smells like candy, or some sort of candy from my childhood. And this is because I have her in a more moist setup. As I was saying, in my environment, orchids do better in a more water-retentive environment, or should I say potting mix. It's not the rule that all orchids should be potted in this or the other, whatever works out. And in my environment, sphagnum moss works out. And this one is potted directly in sphagnum moss, no other aerators, and she's loving it. She rewarded me with such a beautiful cluster of blooms and also the best fragrance ever. This is a highly fragrant orchid. You can smell it in the room. I would not suggest it for scent-sensitive people, but otherwise, if you love fragrance, I think you'll love this one. And I think the beautiful contrast is wonderful as well. Gosh, Joey, I really hope people will not be annoyed by you. Alrighty, next up, another Cattleya, because why not? Rhyncattleanthe King Mean Beauty. I was not expecting this one to bloom because we had it in bloom like a few months ago, and I think you can tell that this orchid can do more than 2 flowers. It is actually a cluster bloomer, but I do believe the energy was a little bit more spent on the previous blooming. So this is an unexpected random 2 buds. Usually this orchid blooms once a year for me, so this is a fluke. But anyway, if you're interested in rose-smelling Cattleyas, this is the one for you. It has a beautiful, intense, and pretty strong fragrance of roses. This is the best way I can describe it. It is a typical fragrance for Cattleyas. It doesn't have much complexity to it, in my opinion. But if you just love roses and you cannot grow them and you want them in your home, yeah, this Cattleya should do it. Even though it's a pretty tall Cattleya, I don't find it very hard to rebloom, and I do grow it under artificial light, so no natural light. It usually produces tinier flowers than you'd expect, but it is a cluster bloomer, and typically it produces 6 flowers and up, which is absolutely fantastic. And if you like the contrast of golden and red, this one definitely is for you. It's the most beautiful, intense coloration that I have on a Cattleya. She really steals the show. Plus, with that fragrance, you cannot go wrong. So definitely a recommend with this one. Unlike the big fluffy Cattleyas, I think you're not gonna have as many issues reblooming this one. Next up, we have Tolumnia Snow Carmine, and this is the second flower spike on the same fan this year. We had her in bloom just a few months ago, but if you guys remember, she looked a little differently, and I told you at the time that this orchid can be either more pink, either more white, because that's what Tolumnias do. And I do have a video that I made recently on Tolumnias and how they can color change and how sometimes they can bloom on the very same flower spike with different flowers. flowers, check it down below. Tolumnias are wonderful in that way, and the Snow Carmine right now looks a lot more pink than it did a few months ago. But it's the very same orchid, and it does bloom on the very same fan, and this is one of the most beautiful aspects of Tolumnias. Bonus, they are tiny, they fit everywhere, they have big inflorescences or flower shows compared to the orchid, and they are much more affordable, generally speaking, than Cattleya. Certainly more affordable than big fluffy Cattleyas, and much easier to keep in a home, I do find. So if you want a tutorial on Tolumnias, I'll link you to that one down below as well. Check it out. Tolumnias are one of my most favorite genera of orchids, and I want to have them all. There are so many hybrids that I do want to have them all. And to wrap up this video, another Tolumnia that you haven't seen because it's a first time bloomer, this is Pink Lady. Now, I did the mistake of waiting around to film this one, and you can see the flowers look more white than pink. Well, as the flowers age, they do become more and more pale, but when they first open, they are quite pink, and they remain pink for at least a week. You can see there is a flower which comes from a branch. That one is more pink. Yeah, that one opened recently, and it should stay like that for at least a week. But as the flowers age, and they can last for at least a month, yeah, they become a little bit more pale, and on camera it does appear that it's white. It's not, it's just a very pale pink. These Tolumnias are not fragrant. I am not lucky enough to have the fabled fragrant Tolumnia that I see on the internet. There is one apparently that people say it's fragrant. Mine don't really have much of a fragrance or anything. I would not count on Tolumnias to be fragrant, just so you know. But they are absolutely charming and beautiful, and as I was saying, they fit anywhere, and they reward us with the most glorious of blooms. And that is about it for this month. Don't forget to let me know in a comment which orchid was your favorite this month, because it might appear on a mug or other things, other type of merch maybe in the future. We'll see. Some of you guys gave me the idea to make some canvases again. That could be an idea. I used to do, or I did a line, a limited edition line of canvases, and I still have a few. They're beautiful, so maybe I will. Maybe I'll make some canvases, but we'll see. For now though, just make sure you let me know which one was your favorite in the comments, because I shall take it into account. So with that said, I hope this video inspired you and gave you some ideas for your next purchases, and I hope you'll have a great day. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye!